Welcome, fellow travelers. I am Nihili, and I am joining Chibi and Vertec at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Vertec, discuss Ashes of Creation and important topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week, we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. Today is the 28th of April, 2023. We're on episode 166, titled Mystical Magical Magery. And we have a guest with us, not Nihili, but rather Tonili, Myrunji. I'm sorry, it's Myrunji, isn't it? Of GildedHouse. Myrunji. I figured I was going to get that wrong. But I also just noticed, by the way, that the song that happened to be playing right now is Pyre Elves. It fits very well, because we have a Pyre with us. So how are you today, Pyre Tonili?
I'm doing pretty good. Sun's shining, so always ready to have a good time.
Absolutely. Great way to look at it. And the other Pyre, I'm the oddball out today. It's crazy. The other Pyre, lovely as ever, is Chibi. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's been a long week and a long day, especially for me, so just looking forward to talking and relaxing a bit. And it's very, I have to say, I have not seen Tonili's image yet until just now, and Tonili looks so pretty.
Right? I love that work.
Yeah.
Don't know who did that, but tell them they're amazing.
Thank you.
So, rumor has it you're a part of some RP place, some house or something. What's going on with that? Tell us a little bit about you and how you fit in there and what you do.
Well, I'm part of GildedHouse, which a number of our viewers are from there. Same with as Nihili. What I do there right now is perform some roleplay there. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous here.
It's okay.
But
I need to be nervous.
Yeah, we're doing different role plays right now. So my character is right now going to be going out as a huntress.
Ooh,
and doing some hunting, foraging, that kind of thing.
Awesome. I love
Nice.
that. So tell me, because I adore roleplay so very much. Is this your first time role playing with them, or have you done a few other role plays?
With this group, it's
yes.
my first time. Yes.
Ooh, and how long have you been role playing?
Oh, 15, 20 years.
Nice. I'm
not a spring
that.
chicken, so.
No, I love that. I love that.
I guess it depends on which spring. See, you don't need to specify which spring.
Fair,
This
fair.
is true.
What would you say is your favorite roleplay moment of all time?
Oh, no, there's so many.
Okay, one of your favorites. Just the top one off your head.
My top one is actually the current roleplay she's in.
Okay.
And she just got to GildedHouse from her tribe
Okay.
and village. And so this is her first interaction with other species.
Ooh, I love those. I
Right.
actually had, when I was running the Sunday group, my friend who's in it, she met a dark elf for the first time, and that interaction was very interesting too. So I love like those raw interaction moments, especially when, done well in character. I find those fun.
It's really fun. Her first interaction with a human is very spastic.
Okay.
It's hilarious how they play off one another.
Yeah.
Where she has more of the pirate that we know are sort of based on Navajo.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been using a lot of their basics.
Nice.
And
I love
interchanging, like having some trouble with the language, but not a lot because elves are also known. Excuse me. They're also known for their intelligence. So she may be on the wild side, but
right.
she's having fun protecting this person from herself.
Okay. And like also, you know, kind of learning, yeah, Jinx for sure. Learning kind of on the fly, you know, with the human interaction and just, I'm sure, picking up the language somewhat quickly comparatively, right?
Right. Yeah. It's not like she didn't know any of the language, fortunately. You know, they were brought up with the general basic language knowledge as they were taught and growing up.
Yeah, I love that. For my character, or my player character that ended up having her first interaction, she hissed at the guy, and he kind of looked at her weird because he had his hand out to like shake her hand already. So yeah, I thought that was really fun. And so like that's kind of reminiscent of like just, you know, she was raised in like the forest area and this was her first time coming around other people. And then for this particular campaign, dark elves are synonymous with like Lilith and evil. So she was like hissing at him. And then as soon as she realizes that he's not evil, she begins proclaiming to everybody, he's the follower of light, not Lilith. And that just became his like title. And it was just born out of that very natural and very just organic role play. And I think those are some of my favorite moments. Those are the ones that really stick, the ones that just are between players and, you know, just organically.
Right. And the ones that your brain and your fingers work together.
Yeah.
But sometimes too much.
Oh, hey, so, I guess real quick, Dow had a question for you, asking if the narrator for a featured video was here too. I'm guessing hanging out in chat or whatnot. Who was that, by the way?
That was the Healy.
Nice.
Yes, he's in chat under Vamori's. That was a previous roleplay that we did together.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I was listening to it earlier too, and I really enjoyed it. Although it got cut short, of course, by a last minute meeting, as usual for my day. But no, I've very much been enjoying the work that you guys are putting out, and I very much look forward to seeing more of what you put out. And I know that our roleplay lovers are just gonna love GildedHouse. You already have somebody from the Dwarven team saying that we need more dwarves.
Yes. Yes. We've been talking back and forth too about how when Tonili actually meets a dwarf for the first time.
I would love hilarious. I would love to see Tonili meet Thogli or Brigand. I think that would be an interesting interaction because our friends over from the Dunir Dwarven Guild of Dunsington, or I believe is their new name, right? Because they had to change their name. The Dunsington Dwarves.
Dunsington? Oh man, see now my brain is snapping. I tell you what, if you give me Dunehold, that was it. Yeah.
They're from Dunehold, but they had a different name and they had to change it for reasons. But they like roleplay over there a lot. So I imagine GildedHouse, you guys would have a lot of fun interacting roleplay wise with them. And of course, Anduin, who has the roleplay house as well that he's been trying to organize. So I
I love seeing all this. I just got to say, I'm like a roleplay wallflower. I rarely engage myself, but
I'm trying to
love
gently
watching
push him into it, though.
I love observing.
If you get the right person to start off with, and you just let it flow, just brain to fingertips, it's really, really fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know what? Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe as a group, what we could do within our Discord is just have like those little role play nights where we just kind of practice role playing with each other and let you guys kind of get used to that. I think it might kind of pull you guys out of your shell a little bit more too. So
quite possible.
I'm also working as a DM to kind of set up those role play scenarios a little bit better. So I'm working on improving my role play. So that I can kind of get into character and assist them with kind of getting them started, so.
I applaud that. I am not a very good DM at all. I can do one-on-ones and maybe one-on-two.
Ooh, I would love to know what a one-on-one would feel like.
But if I have to DM a larger group, I get more nervous than I was today.
Yeah. No, I mean, with roleplay though, it especially depends on like which variety you're doing, right? So if you're doing text based, it's a little easier than verbal based, and verbal based is easier than something you're putting out on the internet.
Yes, I don't do verbal based.
Yeah,
for sure.
Verbal can get like really, really difficult, especially if you have multiple different people and you're trying to emulate that person, especially through like vocals. That's where I struggle the most. I could easily do it with like text, but doing it vocally, that's a struggle for me, but I'm working on it.
Well, I applaud you. And any DMs that are out there that actually work for the community, they're the ones that keep us going. So thank you.
Indeed.
Dow, thank you so much. Dow gifted GildedHouse RP a sub to our channel, so welcome in, GildedHouse RP. And I love the placement, by the way, of the alert. That's great placement. Yeah. So, what got you into Ashes of Creation? Hello, Alexia.
What got me into Ashes? Well, this is actually the first one pre-game that I'm getting into.
That's fair.
And you'll hear me say this a lot. Nihili got me into it.
Okay.
He'd been watching it, and he's like, "Here, you ought to try and check this out." So I did, and I got hooked right away.
All right, what hooked you?
I've been bemoaning the fact that SWG, Star Wars Galaxies, was no more other than with emulators. And the fact that it's going to be not exactly like that, but it's going to be more open. That we're going to have a lot of different layers instead of just go kill this. Let's go to this dungeon together and not worry about anything else. The complexity, a little bit daunting, but I think it's going to be a good challenge. So that's why I got going, and then I got into the group with GildedHouse, and that just helps even more the fact that the interaction, both one-on-one as a community, expanding and listening to the ideas. So.
I like that. And how did you come to... Was it Nihili that introduced you to GildedHouse as well?
Yes.
I imagine.
I joke around. I'm his little shadow.
Aww.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. I'm the shadow. I follow around. And then I decide, okay, yes, okay, no. Maybe.
I feel that because in terms of social encounters, I know that I may be the one that's behind a lot of like the tweets and like the messages through Twitter and things like that and Twitch. But when we go in person, I'm the one that hides behind Vertec. And then when I feel comfortable, then I kind of come out a little bit more socially, and then I start, you know, like you got to start off with a safety blanket, right? You gotta have that safe space.
Exactly.
And then venture out. So I
with
love
that type of approach, do you also end up fitting in with the brother sister dynamic? Are you also like the little inquisitive and attentive little sister, just watching what's going on and
no, it
okay,
actually
it's safe out
fits
there?
us. We've had so many different dynamics with different role plays.
Mm-hmm.
We discovered that twins does not work. But I love being the little sister. She's not little, you know, 4 years younger, but they're both adults.
Yeah.
It's fun for me in the fact that I can use. It keeps me younger. Okay. I'm in my 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to play a 23-year-old can be quite daunting at times. Other times it just, you know, let out what I wanted to be when I was 23.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And honestly, 23 looks different for everybody, right? Like me at 23 is vastly different than some of my friends at 23. Where, you know, I've always been told, oh, you're like an old soul. And I was like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but thank you.
Yeah, there's like me, I was an idiot, just, you know, just basically doing idiot stuff, not really contributing to society at 23 in any way, shape, or form. Meanwhile, other friends at 23 are like, yeah, so I just started my business. You did what?
So, yeah, I think 23 looks vastly different for people. And I mean, while it has its challenges, I think that it's a good age number to start with, you know?
It's fun. It's not too young.
Right.
But it's not too old, and it allows for a lot of advancement age-wise.
Yeah.
As you progress.
Absolutely. And especially with elves, you know, we may look 23 to you, but we're probably quite a bit older.
Multiples of that.
Yeah, no, I actually my personal life kind of reflects the elven nature almost, to the point where people give me weird looks sometimes when I order alcohol still, and I'm nearing 30, so
you're fortunate. Very fortunate.
I just tell people I don't like the sun, and so I don't really go outside too much. And then I was actually taught skincare when I was younger versus makeup, so I take care of my skin versus putting makeup on so much. So apparently that's the secret. I don't know. But it doesn't help that I'm 4'10". I'm just short.
You're only 2 inches shorter than me.
Oh, yay! A fellow short person.
Yes.
Both of us being bi, right? I love it.
Oh, yeah, I find it funny that I'm relatively tall. I'm a 5'11", right? Some of the average, just above average height for a guy, right? And we got a little tiny shorty chibi in the real life, and then here we're going to be jumping into Ashes, and I'm going to be playing one of the shorter races, and she's playing one of the taller. So it's an exact role reversal when the height comes to it.
Well, we decided that I was going to try to play the shortest that a Pyre is allowed to be, and he was going to play the tallest that a Vec was allowed to be.
Try to meet in the middle, but not quite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Oh, I love it. But no, it's just, this is the fun thing, you know, with role play and everything. I think when Vertec and I first started playing World of Warcraft, we would role play that we lived in the world, and we would actively seek out places that looked cool and be like, this is our house. This is where we live now. Oh, I love this. Welcome in, Chico, and Dochi. Welcome in, Fashi. And TV is not short. She's vertically challenged. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Losing the fight against gravity.
I like how they spelled it too.
Yeah. Vertically challenged.
Yes. Very good pun.
I love it. That's A plus pen. So, have you already put out a video, or do you plan to put out a video with GildedHouse?
Me personally, no.
Yes. No. Okay.
No, that's Nahili and Cersei and Joe's jobs.
I think it would be really fun to put out an RP piece, but I really do understand, because we were talking with Nahili about this. Nahili is not feeling super confident in the voice acting, so GildedHouse applies a little bit of like that AI touch to kind of help with bringing the voice to life, which, I mean, what are voice changers, right? If not that. So I was actually kind of interested in applying voice changers to my D&D campaigns to help me with those different voices that I can't naturally do. But I think it'd be really cool to just try a video roleplay, because I've never really tried that myself. But with that being said, if you're not going to be doing a video with GildedHouse, what are your plans in general with GildedHouse? Just more like hanging out and role playing, or?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm one of the people that's behind the scenes in a guild, helping set up either forums or things like that.
Oh, very nice.
But I don't know what I'm going to be doing this time. I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. And if something comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Now, I have to say, Nahili did come up with a great a voice for Tonili as well.
Nice.
So he found a good one. We agreed on it. So maybe I will do a video.
Oh my gosh, I would love it. But it
definitely sets the mood for the character, having the voice that fits.
Oh, absolutely. It also helps with your inner monologue in your head when you hear them, because I know sometimes when I'm trying to sort out like who exactly is Chibi Bree, or as my roleplay character Aurelia, who is she exactly? And it's just trying to find the right, like, it's more soft-spoken but not too soft-spoken, and you're just getting those fine tunes in, and then as soon as you hear it, you're like, that's exactly her voice, that's what I imagined. And it's just a really nice moment. And I think it might be different for you, I'm not sure, but like, do you hear that voice then whenever you're thinking of like what Tonili is thinking?
Often, yes.
Yeah, and I just love that, because that helps like separate the thoughts a little bit too.
If I'm struggling writing my post, I will pull up the voice as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
I'll listen to the clip that I have so I can get back in the character. And that, and visually having the pictures helps me a lot to be able to remind myself to envision that I'm not playing a Twilight from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm playing a pirate.
Right.
And it's very different, but it's fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Those are good techniques. And I think those of you that are looking to get into roleplay, those are some good techniques to use as well to help find your inner roleplay voice, if you will, So, yeah. Wow. Hype chain almost. Thank you. Ragnarok heading to bed. But the cheer is a must. Thank you so much. And Woodchip, thank you so much for the resub. We very much appreciate it. And,
welcome back, Woodchip. Haven't seen you in a little minute. We miss you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rag, you have yourself a great sleep. Rest well, friend.
So, let's get into today's live stream, shall we?
Let us do it.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was very good. I am sad that I only know about a portion of it because I was working. It's Alexia, thank you so much. You know what? We're gonna go cozy mode. I'm gonna go put on a cozy thing while Vertec gets us into the thing.
All right. So into the thick of it. So yeah, everybody in chat, just so you know, we had some stuff come up with work and kind of ran all the way up to the last minute. And so we didn't get to see the Q&A part of the video. We didn't get to see that. So if there was any super interesting questions and answers that came out of it, please do feel free to share. We'd love to talk about it. We just don't know what happened. We'll find out after the stream today. That's the downfall of doing our live stream right after they have theirs. But that said, oh my goodness, I was actually more excited about the stuff I saw on the Mage thing than I thought it was going to be.
They did this showcase very well, in my opinion. I think the community feedback that we had before, and the we talked about this beforehand, the constructive criticism that was held over the previous live stream showcases, especially with the tank. I think they took that, they internalized it, and they improved. And we saw that with the tank video that they posted on YouTube, and I think we saw that with the mage, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I think it turned out really well. I think the way they did this one, because it was very much like, hey, this is the mage, we're gonna do fun stuff, but here's the informational stuff that we know everybody wants. Like, these are the skills, these are what they do.
Yeah. I'm super distracted by this bird, by the way, with I don't even know how many different pairs of wings, and then it got stuck in T-pose, it looks like.
Yeah, the bird's wings have wings. Yeah, the bird's wings have wings. I love it. I think that if I didn't get that, I'm going to be really upset, because I really wanted it, and I think I picked it up before it expired, like by a couple days.
Well, that's really... I love the unique creatures that they have in Vera.
Wingception.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly, Elias.
Okay, so before we get into it, maybe this will be a good way of grabbing direction. What is your favorite part of the Mage Showcase?
Ooh. Tonili, would you like to go first as guest, or would you like us to warm it up?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Well, mine, honestly, is possibly one of the most generic ideas to come out of it. Mm-hmm. And that is really that they built the mage skills kind of focused around rotating through the different elements and skills and whatnot. And it kind of is it's gonna force people to have dynamic moving and constantly resetting. I don't want to say rotation by the usual definition people use with the rotation, like you gotta hit this button, then that, then that, then that, then that, and then start over again. But rotation is in like flowing from frost to lightning to fire, or lightning to frost and then fire, or whatever the case, to get the best damage and or synergies out of everything. And I really like that they designed the class spells and skill list around that.
I do want to add on to that I was not really able, so I'm kind of watching this for the first time with you guys. But I was listening because I had to do work, but I had the headset on, so I was listening to like the live stream. But I do love, and I want to get your opinion on this too, Tonili, about how not only are there different class synergies from my class to Tonili's class, for example, but also within the class there's synergies among the spells. I really love that.
I liked how they talked about it almost being like a bridge. You know, you could, going back to the rotations, they were talking about how with an element, or you can go through your rotation, but there's also the bridges that bring you to like perhaps the next element, to the next rotational. I loved that, and I also really liked the fact that the mage doesn't have to stay put. The mage can move.
I like that a lot, because that's the biggest thing I struggle with World of Warcraft at the moment is I want to play a class, but I can't move and I can't cast at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I fell into a little bit in Final Fantasy when I did actually play a magic person.
Yeah.
I don't usually, that's not my thing.
Well, let's touch on that for a moment, right? Because I was asking if you were planning to play mage beforehand, and what did you say you were planning on playing?
I'm actually planning on going for Beastmaster, so that would be Ranger and Summoner.
That sounds really awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a deviation, partially from what I normally do. Normally, I am just DPS, no magic. So I'm looking forward to actually taking this deviation and see how it develops.
It would be kind of cool if you had like a little bit of like a hint of magic, enough that like perhaps more of the magic was like in your beast that you're master over.
Yeah, I believe that's to be able to be the beast master. That's why the summoner is in there, so you can summon the beast as well. But the magic that actually, I hope that you actually use in taming.
Plus, there's also, you know, like, for example, the mage is doing some blinking, right? So I imagine there's going to be remnants of summoner on your hunter primary class. So that would be kind of fun too.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see how it's going to actually form.
I really hope you do a role play of your character experiencing magic for the first time. I think that'd be really cool.
That's probably in the works.
I love it.
You know, being like the Pyre, which more like Navajo, their spirituality anyways.
Right.
It's not necessarily magic. So that's something I've been mulling lately, actually, is seeing about working that in.
That's really cool. Also, Elias thinks we all should take a little bit of a stretch. So I'm gonna stretch and hydrate.
Oh yeah.
But my drink is over there, so I'm gonna pretend that I'm not leaving the desk right now to go get my drink.
Thank you, Elias.
And a drink. All right, and then I'll do a stretch.
Cheers.
Thank you for the stretch and the hydrate. I did actually legitimately need both. Yeah.
All right. So, go ahead. It sounded like you had a direction.
I was just going to catch up on a few things that were said in chat there real quick.
Yes.
So Artemis says, the abilities on the mage are looking pretty cool. There are a few folks saying stuff was too much, but I like it. Now, on that note, I mean, since it's on the screen right now even, do you think some of the spell effects and abilities look like they're a little bit extra, a little over the top, or are they looking pretty good?
Is that to me or Nihili or both? Or Tonili? Sorry.
Both. Let's go Tonili first.
Yes, Tonili.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Did you think that the effects on the skill sets were too much?
I don't think so, but they also brought out the fact that you can focus more on one thing or another if you want to. So if you want like one element, you can stick with one element, or you can add more elements. So it's just going to be on a person-to-person basis, and I think that is a great thing. Like for someone like me, I would probably stick with one and then slowly work up. So but what I was seeing and how easy it looked to incorporate one into another with the bridge and so forth. I might get my fingers tied, but I don't think it's any extra.
I think I'm gonna kind of fall back on the same thing that we've been saying in general, where I think what they're doing is they are planning and they are building up for the most amount of effects so that perhaps you could be able to scale it back or scale it down if needed. But there are some things where I don't think it will be too much, like the bubble, for example. That might not be too much, but it's just, I think a lot of people that say that they think it's too much. Right now you're looking at it as one person, but imagine 5 or even 10 people doing the same spell on the same creature, and imagining just how that looks on top of each other. That's where a lot of those people are coming from. And I think it's one of those, I may or may not turn off the other people's spells so that I don't see them. Just so that I don't get confused on which one's mine and which one's theirs.
I agree with that one.
Yeah, see, I think the effects as they are right now are pretty perfect. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. The only thing I could maybe see them doing to make any kind of adjustment would be to either make the lightning ball smaller or to squish it down and make it a lightning disc. Just so it doesn't take up as much of the thing, but it's temporary. It kind of floats right through, right? So I don't think it's too much.
To play devil's advocate on it, though, it's like imagine seeing like 5 of those balls going towards them, or like.
Yeah, exactly where I was going with it. It was well, what's going to happen in a raid where there's 40 people and like 7 or 8 of them are mages throwing lightning balls everywhere.
Yeah. And then you're not really sure whose is whose, and if you're against a mage and the mage can do the same ability, like that's I've found myself running out of friendly fire instead of enemy fire because I got confused on whose was whose. So
yeah, I mean, in theory, there's going to be a lot of augments you can place on your skills like colorings and whatnot anyway, so
that would be cool. I think
a couple of 4 or 5 different colors of mage abilities, maybe. It'll put the lightning in there.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I like that he, just for this video's sake, cast the lightning ball, then blinks forward, does a bunch of ice damage, and is now doing some more lightning damage. But meanwhile, the lightning ball goes through them as he's doing like the ice damage. I like that. I think that's really neat. And I'm hoping, I don't know if he's really using wands on this guy. It looks like he's using a sword.
Yes, he was using a great sword.
Okay. Which, probably not ideal for mage, right? But
actually, he was incorporating it as part of the mage deal.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to watch what he chose.
Yeah.
You can choose different weapons.
Right.
And that's one of the things they brought up too.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
I must
actually.
have been away for that part.
Here's something that I thought was really cool that might help you kind of understand why he was using a greatsword, by the way. But he did say that it would typically be a greatsword to be used by the like the mage fighter or fighter mage.
Okay.
And there's a skill on the bottom right of that skill bar that looks like red and blue. It's called Elemental Empowerment. And the direct reading of the skill is whenever you cast an elemental spell, your weapon attacks deal additional damage of that spell's element and apply a stack of the corresponding elemental status effect to target's hit.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
And casting a spell of a different element switches this effect to the new element.
Ooh, okay. That's pretty cool, actually, because my thinking was I thought they were going to show how you can, because one of the initial things that Steven said, you can use any weapon for any class, right?
Yeah.
So I thought they were just trying to showcase, like, look, we have this great sword and we're using it on a mage class, which is what you would totally not expect at all, except for, a mage fighter or something like that combo. And so that makes a lot of sense in terms of like the combination. I did not even think about that. But I was just thinking of it in terms of like, see, this is what it's like when you use a greatsword, but then when we swap over here to a wand, you see we're doing much more damage.
Yeah.
But we can still use it.
Yeah, so what he was doing specifically was because he was doing AoE, the greatsword has a wide sweep and it can apply a lot of damage like around.
Yeah.
So he was casting, say, an ice spell and then attacking everything with the greatsword, stacking up those ice stacks, and then attack with a lightning spell to trigger a reaction, and then start stacking the lightning stacks with that, and then casting ice and then the lightning and kind of bouncing back and forth. But he was mainly just spreading the stacks, it seemed.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It was actually a pretty cool little theory. Like, not looking to do a ton of damage, it's with the blade itself maybe, but just spreading those stacks out to everything and then dropping a spell to nuke the reaction.
Yeah. Took you long enough, my Tolnar brothers. We're just courteous enough to keep our most infernal shitpost to herself. Nice.
Tolnars have class.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Welcome in. We were chatting with Tonili from GildedHouse, and we had a whole little segment earlier on roleplay. So if you're interested in catching that, I definitely suggest going back and watching that. But now we're talking about the mage and some of the things that mage had. And I think I agree, actually. Tonili has a very beautiful character portrait. I saw it for the first time when we went live, and I was just like... It was so pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But Vertek, I'm gonna shift this a little bit to talking, because we were talking about, like, you know, fighting and things like that, to talking about the question comment for their YouTube.
Yeah. So, Tima200 had asked, people camping open world dungeon areas was a huge problem in ESO. Please, Intrepid, prevent this. And, I was not exactly a fan of Steven's answer, not really because it was a bad answer, but it just wasn't really informative, and it's not necessarily his fault. We don't have enough information to gauge what that answer really means. And he basically said that, you know, a few important parts of Ashes is competition and reputation. But camping is a mechanism where people are going to spend time in a location to control the area and prevent others from accessing it. Which, and this is not Steven saying, this is me kind of commenting on that, which, you know, is going to take them away from doing other things that they could possibly be competing in, but also kind of building their reputation as being that kind of a guild or that kind of a group, right? So then he goes on to say, one thing we do is to ensure that you have opportunities to engage with campers, like guild wars and political actions. Guilds and organizations may grow too large for the server itself to fight back against it, so they're ensuring that there are other ways to fight back against them through points of friction. And I just think that, as with the information that we have right now, I think it's a kind of a weak reply, because it doesn't give any details on how really you can do that. Because if they're a big enough guild, in my opinion, if they're a big enough guild to hold down a dungeon and keep anybody from getting to it, are they really going to be bothered by a guild war? Is that really going to impact them? It's going to need to have everybody else attacking them, and there's going to be so many people that go, whatever, there's other dungeons, I don't care. But it still means they're locked out of that one. What do you folks think about that, though?
Artemis says, I feel like that's also something that would be difficult to address. People are still going to be silly no matter how they address it.
Very true.
Ashzir says the trick is to attack them elsewhere, so they are forced to move out. I'm not particularly a PvP focused type of person, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it might end up being one of those things with the attack them somewhere else is waiting until there is the guild war on their castle, and then you go take out that dungeon.
Yeah.
If once a month you can go get the dungeon, better make the most of it.
Memora says one good thing is that the same guild could turn red, which they could suffer from that part of the system. But what are your thoughts, Tonili?
I'm not a huge PvP person, so for me to understand some of this at the moment is a little over my head.
It's basically no, you're fine. It's easy. So it's like let's roleplay for a second that you are you gonna be a gatherer? No, you're gonna probably find beasts to tame, right?
Right.
So let's say there's this really cool beast in one of the dungeons nearby, but this other guild who's massive is kind of like keeping people from being able to go there.
I think if it gets to a point where nobody else can go in, I think that's when they really need to rebalance, a few things. But I like the idea of being tactical and as others have said, to find a place to hit them to pull their attention away.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there won't be this, but there always is.
I was just giggling because Vertek was saying to steal their mead while they're away.
Yeah.
Yeah, steal the mead while they're away from home. That'll teach them.
But Femora says, say the big guild decides to defend a dungeon spawn. They don't need to claim guild war. They can just attack and kill players approaching. But to do that, they can risk going from green to purple to red, which they'll start to suffer consequences too. And so it's one of those, I'm sure that Steven and the dev groups will be watching, as, like Nair says, it will balance itself over time as long as the player has like a healthy population. Because, the purpose of the corruption system is supposed to be there for kind of that whole purpose, right? And it's one of those decisions on, how much is that worth it for you to go to that open world dungeon? And, maybe them camping that open world dungeon means that they're missing out on this other thing that spawned elsewhere because they're too busy camping that, they can't control both places.
They also brought out that it gives opportunity for maybe not role play, but you can go into political type
negotiations,
negotiations, things like that. So that adds another level. You're not maybe just sitting there waiting. If you take action to try to work things out.
No, I like the idea of guilds trying to lock down areas, turning red if a bunch of non-combatant people try to run through and all. I have a feeling though that there might be some tactics against that as well. Like I have half the guild guarding the door and the other half running through the dungeon, right? And there's a designated 4 people that are like the designated murderers. When people start to come in, everyone attacks them down a little bit maybe, and then the designated murderers go through to do the killing strikes, and then they hide back inside the dungeon again, while the rest of the guild weakens everyone else.
Well,
and if they get too much corruption, they just run in and they start running through the bosses to get rid of their corruption for slaying baddies, little monsters.
Yeah, I would say the Hall of Abjuration is probably one of the perfect places for such people. Seems fitting. Given that it's a place where they keep criminals awaiting trial.
Yes.
Good story.
I actually really liked that. Actually, before I go on mine, Horace, welcome in. I see that you added to the discussion. Horace says, some may not agree with this, but to deal with campers like that, it may be necessary to maybe have NPC mercenaries come to move them away. Also, having the guild itself degrade in standing, preventing them from entering any neutral territory could be a deterrent. Unfortunately, when it comes to camping and similar PvP events, I feel there's nothing to prevent someone finding a workaround of any system set up to prevent such activities. Which, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's there to be a deterrent, but also, everything is not without its loopholes, right? The Morris description will take a long time to get rid of. I suppose it'll depend on how long it takes for that corruption to fade, for sure. And Silverin says, I don't think the game's combat is going to offer much in terms of high skill ceiling. And then Overthrow says the main reason large guilds won't camp a dungeon is because it just won't be worth it in the long run, especially with the corruption penalties chipping away at them.
Yeah, see, if our guild ends up being large enough, I mean, I'm not saying this is our strategy or anything, but if I were running a guild the size of what we're going to end up being, or even larger, like I would definitely probably have a strategy in place to say, hey guys, guard the door, let people know we're not trying to hog it, we just want to make sure nobody interferes with our kills. We're going to go through, clear it, and then we're out. And it's all yours. But, just leave us alone. let us clear this, and then it's all yours afterwards.
Yeah.
That way,
I like the
it's
pun here.
good for all people.
Yeah. Also, there's a battle for the hill, so if you guys want to join in on that, go for it. Also, there's an ad starting soon. This will turn off pre-roll ads for 1 hour, and subscribers, you will not be affected. You got the sandal, very nice.
I just saw 2 donuts going though. They've been winning a lot lately.
I gotta join. I got a sandal too. Yes. But you guys may not be able to hear us, but you will be able to see us and react with the chat still. So just as a heads up, we would turn it off if we could. But unfortunately, that is not within our power. Also, Artemis, thank you for the sub. Welcome in. Cheers.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm choosing from beneath the blanket. But yeah, no, I think there's gonna be a good amount, and it kind of Dogley's the winner, of course, with the foam finger. No
the number
less.
1 fan finger. I love it.
What if I'm a Tolnar supporting Pyre? Well, I think all are welcome. But I think it's one of those things where the different systems will come to play, and it's going to be all about motivation and drives, right? What is a good enough motivation or drive for you to camp them? And is that better than whatever other things that you could be doing with your time, especially in some of these situations, right? So I think it's going to be one of those things where the people that are doing that type of griefing, there's going to be pros and cons to it. It's not World of Warcraft. We're not playing some of these other games that are static. You are literally going to be losing out on progression by camping a very specific location.
Yeah. And honestly, I think even looking at raids that are going to have the more powerful stuff and the more rare things that you're really going to want, but also there's going to be other full raid groups coming. It's going to be hard to defend off other full raid groups when you have a full raid group trying to run it. So yeah, I don't think raids are going to be as big a problem just because of that alone.
Yeah, I could see that. By the way, I said I love the magic blue color of the ice. Yeah, I like the ice that it's like a different blue than the lightning, for sure.
You notice the blizzard looked like a big snowflake on the ground?
I had to totally submerge the Elsa vibes when I was watching that. I was like, Elsa. See, Artemis agrees. So
I liked too when they brought out, when I'm just going back to the mage, when they used the ice cone. They brought out that the spikes on the ground remain, and they can turn into an AoE type thing, where each
little
one,
proximity
if
mines,
somebody,
I love it.
Yes, if somebody steps on one, it might blow up.
Ooh.
Right. I thought that was really interesting. A very cool idea that it doesn't just do that one moment, but it lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I love that they've been playing with the templating on the ground. You pay money and make a contract, and they'll defend against the campers. I mean, there's that too. Could always hire some mercenary guilds. Absolutely. Nara says, no matter what, the big sweaty guilds will contest and camp the heck out of the top tier spots for legendary gear. Smaller guilds can perhaps join the fray as an ally to one and get some gear that way. All the other dungeons will be more fluid, and there should be plenty of opportunity for all. Yeah, but also keep in mind, server to server is going to be different, and who knows how long those are going to stay open anyway. So, Overthrow says, Intrepid has done a good job of making the abilities flashier if it is something a PvPer needs to know. And I think that's a good point, with the Oh, I see what you're saying with the spikes and stuff. Yeah. I think that's really neat. Artemis says there'll definitely be some neat politicking in the game.
It will. It's true.
Citizenship over nodes, that might fix a lot when a dungeon is available. Yeah, absolutely. Citizenship's probably going to be a driving, and that's what I was saying. It comes down to those things, right? What's driving you? What's the motivation? You know, are you benefiting or are you not benefiting? But yeah, I think that's really cool, and I just kind of want to touch on the rotation, that the mage skills have been designed around the rotation of multiple skills with multiple elemental types to gain the best damage output versus like a specific set of skill sets. You know, like you do one, then five, then three. Yeah.
My favorite part of it. Plus, there were single target for everything, and there were multi-target for everything. I mean, there was the lightning strike for single target, and then chain lightning, or there was the frost bolt for a single target, and then the blizzard and the cone of frost, or cone of cold for the AoE stuff. So you got all those little tools at your fingertips, ready to go zip, 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 zip. Plus your weapon choice is going to matter too, because you got the wand. I'm not sure if you saw in the video the little wand combos, but each one of those shot out and gave a stack of the thing as well, because it's a weapon with the elemental empowerment thing, right? But the combos were really neat. It was like 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, and then like 7 little magic missiles shot out from it. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's actually really, really neat.
I don't know if you guys saw, Artemis brought up about the cows. Did you see anything about that? I was very disappointed with them. They were normal cows.
I did not know. So my day-to-day being hectic was we had to launch a product today for our company, and my boss, who is primarily working on it, had today off. So I had to be on call and very focused for that. So oh my gosh, Elias.
Very true.
I missed it completely. So
yeah, they were just normal cows. I like how Michelle was bringing out
into some.
Well, that's what they talked about a little bit. They're sure that they're going to develop into something else as well. They were talking about how maybe that's cute. About maybe making longhorns or mutations of cows in the future, but they were very underwhelming, as opposed to the sheep.
Okay, I will have to watch it so I can understand the reference.
You'll see immediately. Okay. But the sheep were great. I thought the multiple horns and the way that they twist and turn and so forth, the way they looked, just it drew me in personally. No, I'm not a cow hater, Alexia. It's just that they were just normal cows in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Where everything else is mutated and so forth.
Oh Lord! For some reason, I just got Barbie girl in my head, but like morphed with cows in fantasy world.
Oh no!
Horus, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome in.
Horus, thank you so much. Yes. Cheers indeed.
Oh my gosh. All right. So there was a Reddit thing.
Yeah. It was something somebody posted up in response to the live stream today.
Okay.
And their basic thing, which they did go on at length about, but the very quick summary is that they do not agree with the use of great swords on mages, because mages are supposed to exist to power huge spells, and using a two-handed heavy huge great axe or like great sword is something that ruins the archetype and kind of ruins the mage image in their mind. I was curious what you think, especially since we have an RP heavy guest here with us. What you think about that?
I'll let Tonili go first.
I think it actually just brings another dimension to your mage. Yes, you can do your regular mage, but how limiting is that sometimes when all you have is a wand? Maybe you want to do something a little more aggressive or a little different. Doesn't mean you have to. You can play your mage how you want to. So I don't see a problem with the greatsword. I liked the dimension and the deviation from the quote unquote stereotypical mage.
Yeah, let's just take a step back real quick and think about the fact that this is literally high fantasy. This game is a high fantasy game. And if we're going to have archetypes, I don't want to be pushed into a box of only being able to have a wand, right? So in the term of let's say Tonili, instead of going summoner, went mage. Now, if she's shooting her bow, perhaps her bow is getting charged up with some of that electric energy or fiery energy or whatever energy as she's shooting. And it adds a lot more, not only roleplay aspect to it, but interest to it. Because now you're not just being like, I am a hunter, and in order for me to do my D&D hunter spell, I have to use my bow. But in order for me to do my D&D mage spell, I have to use my wand. No, I'm using a wand bow. That's what I'm calling it now.
A bow wand.
I'm using a wand bow where I can cast magic-touched, normal hunter abilities, which is part of that fantasy. Why not? That's what I'm gonna say. Why not? But right, like as Morris is saying, I love they have different weapons for any class. I think the limitations of what you can do is a limitation enough. I also think that some abilities working with different weapons is such a different perspective on something that's stereotypically set and cast, right? And that's exactly what I'm getting at. And yes, essence arrows, right? So like, why limit yourself to what the norm is? You're only bothered because that's the norm. And I mean, looking at this screen, Ashes is anything but normal.
And it doesn't mean that you can't do just a wand.
Right.
You're not, but it just means you're not limited to
just the wand. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm sorry if that breaks whatever immersion you have, but not being able to use whatever I want breaks my immersion.
Bye, Thogli.
Bye, Thogli. But yeah, sorry, I may have gotten a little I don't know what the right word is there. That a little passionate, maybe. And Vertec is choosing to highlight the things I'm choosing to ignore, so I'm just gonna keep going.
But yeah, as far as the greatsword thing, in my opinion, I like it. I mean, let's be honest. There is somebody that fits really well in the mage archetype that used a pretty badass sword and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Star Wars, okay? Jedi. They are absolutely magey, wizardy, sorcery type people that use really wicked swords.
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes
even Artemis, I think, no, it was Horus that said Gandalf himself wielded a sword with his staff. You know? Mages are all weird. It's totally in character. It's from Zelexia. Artemis is especially with them making archetypes pretty concrete and that you can't hop around like in Final Fantasy 14. I think it's cool that they're allowing all weapon types. Yeah, and that's what they promised from the beginning, you know? Yeah, exactly. No one complained when red mages used rapiers or swords in Final Fantasy. It's like, it's just, I think people have an idea of what they think things should look like. And when they don't look like those, I mean, for me, I initially went from like annoyed at things to, oh, actually that's interesting. That caught me off guard. You know, like I've shifted my mentality because it's, I think, a good thing to be open-minded, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in a high fantasy environment.
True. I mean, by the same token, I can kind of see the point, at least to a degree, because if someone said, hey, this is the fighter, and they had somebody in, you know, half translucent robes and wielding, I don't know, twin daggers. Like, no, that's the warrior. That's the fighter. That's the what are you talking about? There's no way.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, Steven said like any class can use any weapon, but there are going to be ones that are preferable or, you know, better suited for said class. So,
and for said reasons.
Exactly.
You know, depends on the mob that you're fighting. Many situations.
Yeah. Don't forget D&D has a spellcasting class that literally focuses on using swords, so it isn't a very out-of-the-box idea for mages to use swords in some form or fashion. Yeah. And so it's just, I'm not trying to like, sorry, like, excuse my cussing. I'm not trying to shit on their post or anything, but I'm just trying to say, like, let's be kind of at least a little bit reasonable with our expectations of this is high fantasy, and when mixing archetypes the way that they are, a little bit more open-minded towards that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. See, but like I said, I agree, like there should be some flexibility there to do all that stuff, and I like the idea of their elemental empowerment kind of helping the idea of using a big sword that can swing really wide and just smack everything.
Yeah.
But I just find it weird that in my mind, I can accept the idea of a mage using a sword easier than I can a like heavy fighter type using cloth armor and small weapons.
You know what? I want to see a dual wand wielding rogue.
The one tank incoming. Let's go.
Like, it sounds like it would be fun.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Like, just pop out of the shadows and pew, 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 back and forth between the two wands, and then pop back into the shadows.
Oh, yeah, Alexia.
Now you gave me an idea.
I mean, I do want to try the tank mage, so maybe that'll be a thing.
Yeah.
But yes, Alexia, no, I totally get that. And I just find it funny, like, I was thinking about it, and it literally just made me laugh inside my head that it's easier to imagine a mage with a sword than it is a fighter with, you know, typical mage gear, like walking around with a casting staff and thin robes and a book in one hand.
Yes, hit them with the book hard.
Yeah. The pen is mightier than the sword, okay?
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, on that note, shall we get to the wrap-up portion?
Yeah.
An hour has just flown by already. It's crazy. So before we get to the wrap up, I think there was something that somebody wanted us to argue about.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a devil's advocate of pie is best because cake is a lie. Okay. And in case you don't know it, the cake is a lie is very much a hook through the entire game of Portal.
Oh,
it's kind of a theme, a recurring theme throughout the thing about the cake.
Well, don't ruin too much because I want to play Portal. So, I know the meme. I did not know where the meme came from. Okay.
Portal's good stuff.
So how are we doing this? Like, are we collectively arguing for pie?
Okay. So, Elias, you put in the thing, and you already said that Chibi needs to do the pie.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to defend the pie's honor. Now, who's going to take cake, and what's the third person going to argue for? Because now we have three people on here right now.
Third option.
You take the third option.
Yep. The cake pie. or the
Must
pie
be
cake.
balance in the force. Cupcakes.
More cupcakes. No, but they do have that thing now about they have, what is it? The cake pie where you cook your pie inside your cake.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So that's of both worlds. I win. No.
All right. Who's gonna go first?
Idolize, who's making the opening statement? We starting off with cake assaulting the pie. Oh wait, and there's a join. Chiefs, okay. You gotta start with why pie is the best.
Okay. I think pie is the best because there is a good range of sweet to savory for pies.
Okay, but you see, when you're talking about cakes and pies, you're talking about desserts. Desserts aren't supposed to be savory, right? They're supposed to be sweet.
Tell that to the crepes.
Tell that to the chicken pot pie.
Yeah, but you see, crepe is just the wrapping around the stuff. So you can have a dinner crepe, you can have a lunch crepe, a brunch crepe, a dessert crepe, a breakfast crepe, all that stuff.
Okay.
It's just the wrapping. It's just the wrapping. But now a cake, you can customize the bejeebus out of a cake on the fly. Even you can cook multiple layers of chocolate and just have them sitting around for a little bit while you figure out what you want to do with the different layers. Do you want to put some frosting in there, some fruits? Oh no.
So here's the problem. You short-sighted pie, right? You said pies and cakes are both desserts, but to Tonili and the chat's point, you can have a pie for dinner, for lunch, and dessert. So I would say pies are much, much more dynamic. You can make multiple different types of pies that serve more than just dessert. You can't do that with a cake.
Actually, you can.
There's crab
depending
cakes.
on your flavoring.
Okay.
There's crab cakes. You can actually make a savory cake using herbs instead of more sweet.
I have the cupcake lady taking up my cake is best argument. I love this. I love this.
If shepherd's pie still is a pie at the base, though, like all you've done is change what the filling is. When you go to a crab cake, you've changed the entirety of the cake. It's no longer made of the same type of element with like the flour and the sugar and things like that.
You see, I think some of these might be stretching the definitions of pie and cake. To be honest and fair. Let's see, define cake. What is a cake? Besides delicious and amazing and better than pie. So a cake is a small piece of food as dough or batter, meat or fish that is baked or fried. Okay. Also a baked food made from sweet batter or dough. So I guess all of those are cakes. Now, a pie is a baked dish of fruit or meat and vegetables, typically with a top and base of pastry. A meat pie. See, but shepherd's pies don't have a top to them.
Not all of them, but some of them do.
Shepherd pies usually have either a potato topping, like mashed potato on top or something like that, instead of actually having a bottom.
Well, see,
depending on your recipe.
You can make a relatively healthy cake, but you can make a much more healthy pie.
Yes.
Like if you keep it in the defined sections without calling like meatloaf cake and those other things, like literally keeping to the definitions and the representation of a cake and a pie.
But you know, we're going down all these technicalities, and I think we're just kind of skipping right over the point that cake is just much more delicious.
You know what? I have a better point for you. There is a saying called less is more, and cake has 4 letters in it, and pie has 3, and therefore there's power and concision, because pie is less is more.
I like that one. I still say you just smash them both together and you have a cake pie and everybody wins.
Pie cake.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was our randomness. Who won? You decide.
You decide. I might concede to the less is more point. That was good. I liked it.
I liked that one.
Alexia, to be honest, pies and cakes are both bad bitches, and I'm sick of people pitting them against each other. How I read that in my head.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. Pie cake for the win. The cookies are better than brownies are better than pie equals cake.
Okay, I think brownies, then pie, then cookies, then cake. That's my hierarchy.
I actually will prefer a cookie and then a pie and then brownies and cake. But the thing that my favorite dessert, and people are gonna say that TV, this is not a dessert. To me, it's a dessert, okay? I love grilled pineapple as my dessert.
Oh, that would be good.
When I'm like cutting down and I want something kind of sweet but also like refreshing, I will have my favorite place to go is to like Outback, get a steak, and then my dessert is I ask them to cook me up a pineapple ring, and that's my dessert. So
that's very interesting, and I like that.
Yeah. Now you want Outback? Is that what you said? Aw.
You've broken me.
Do you want to get Outback after this? I could take you Outback.
Ooh.
That's where the garage is.
Help, I'm about to get a beating.
No, that's where the garage is.
Because I insulted her pie.
Oh my gosh.
What you guys did. Domestic abuse.
Oh my gosh. All right, well. We like to do a wrap up where we talk about our favorite thing from either the podcast today, our takeaway from the podcast today, or even on these specific days, the live streams. So, what is the biggest takeaway from, I guess, today? Because we had both our podcast and the live stream. So, let's do it, Silverin. I'm there for you, Zay.
All right, I want to go ahead and start off. My favorite, or the best takeaway that I have out of this is that we shouldn't discriminate against archetypes for their choice of weaponry, okay? Just keep an open mind and let them use whatever weapon it is that they have fallen in love with. They can love any weapon, okay?
Okay.
That's why they're named. We name our weapons.
True, it's true.
We love them.
And what's your biggest takeaway?
I had a lot of fun watching the plants walking around.
You know, it was fun watching them die too.
Yep, I was watching their little feet, and they started running around, and then they pile up on one another like a centipede, and then they'd all like wilt.
A floral centipede.
Womp, womp,
I love it.
That and the purple glider.
Oh yeah. Oh,
fun things.
The bird was so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Burb. My biggest takeaway was that skills are going to be not only across different players, but also within your own skill set in terms of the synergies. And I think that is just perfect. I'm looking very much forward to seeing more synergies and how the different classes have their own synergies and how they intermix with other classes. So. Yeah.
Can I bring up one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. One of my takeaways is because recently this has been brought up a number of times is about death in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And how Steven said, I can't tell you until until it's released.
Mhm.
He would, it doesn't matter. We can ask all we want. We can speculate all we want. But we won't get anything official according to lore until the game's released.
Mhm.
And I think that's like one of those things, like, just put it out of your mind for now.
Yeah.
One
Just don't
less
think
thing
about it.
to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Well, hi, Oracle. Should cheesecake be considered a pie? It's a good question.
I think that's probably the best example of both worlds, because they call it a cake, but it's shaped and whatnot like a pie. So let's just let it exist in both worlds so it appeases everybody.
Now I
'cause
want
everybody loves
cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Outback with cheesecake it is. Let's go.
There we go. You guys planned our date night. We should let you guys do this more often.
There you go.
All right. Well, we didn't have any requests, so I'm gonna go ahead and see who all is live at the moment. But in the meantime, Nihili and GildedHouse, thank you so much for convincing sweet Tonili for joining us. I don't think you realized what a gem you've added onto our conversation. It has been a blast chatting with you, Tonili.
It's been pretty fun for me as well. I appreciate it.
Anytime. And again, for those of you that just joined us, please, if you missed it, at the beginning we talked about roleplay, and I think that was probably one of my favorite segments in a little while, just because I love role-playing so much. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, Healy's right. I did tell them that you tricked me into it a little bit. But I have to say, I was told Vertec gave me the option to back out.
Aw, really?
And I didn't.
That's sweet.
It's true. I was like, well, if you're feeling too nervous, you can. And she goes, no, I'm gonna do this. The Band-Aid and the ripping. Run it in.
And now I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you... Yeah. I felt you kind of relaxing a little bit. I was like, okay, I think I got her in a good spot to continue with the chat.
Shaked out the sillies.
Yeah. Well, it's just also, when joining in on one of these, it can be a little nerve-wracking at first. I know I was terrified going onto the Q&A with Steven and them. I have never been on with so many people in a chat before in my life, and I was terrified. So I can relate,
honestly, even on our own show, I think you and I were nervous for the first 10 episodes we did, at least.
Oh my gosh. And then every time that Jolan would rate us with more than X amount of people, I would kind of clam up and get shy for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we rate over to I know we have so many great people, but we actually already kind of decided. I'm sorry, I already have it ready with Thogli. Why not go from one role player group to another role player group? All right, Elias. Well, we're gonna have to probably wait until we move, because I don't know how long that's gonna go well. But if you ever want to guide the raid in the future, just remember we do have a guide the raid redeem, and you are more than welcome to use that to tell us who to raid next. But let us join the from the pirates to the dwarves in some more dwarven chaos and roleplay.
Indeed. And thank you all for hanging out with us, sharing your time, sharing, well, in a way, your lives, because you're, interacting with us, right? And sharing your little insights and everything. It's very much appreciated. That's the best support you can possibly give us, is just showing up, hanging out, and chatting with us. We love you for it. And Tonili, you were such a gem today. You're welcome back anytime. Just let us know if ever you want to swing over again.
Yes.
And we'll get you in here.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Time is precious, and everybody spent it here, so we hope we did you right.
Yes, I apologize. There's no time mage. We cannot give you a refund.
Yeah, there are no refunds. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
All right. Well, until next week.
All right. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.